Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
All right, sorry about the little technical issues we got going on. Chris froze up. Welcome to Tuesday Night Mania, brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I'm hosting Big B. Ace of Mania's still a little bit under the weather, and so is Dave Messaround. But tonight we got there's Crispy, the working man, Crispy Bacon. How you doing, Crispy?
Good. I don't know what happened with my computer there for a second, but
No, that's okay. Technical issues, it happens.
yeah.
And then below us, we got Top Row Collectibles own and a belated happy birthday to Will. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I just got to share it over to TRC, top of the page. So excited to be here. Just been been one of those weeks.
And we definitely want to the next couple of days, hours. Oh, that's why Joe's not here. So, anyways, guys, so sorry we missed last week. We had some things come up, but let's get a good recap on AEW over the last couple of weeks. Well, what have you noticed in AEW?
Well, I mean, still, I think the residual coming out of the whole, CM Punk and the whole fight backstage, all that, really still kind of all the chatter. MJF coming back is a huge deal. I think they're really going to have to start pushing him. He's going to have to become world champion soon because that seems to be the way they're steering. I was really surprised to see Moxley retain the world title against Danielson because I thought for sure they were going to go in that direction. I think they got Moxley listed as a 3-time world champion, but I think they're including his WWE championship in that. And then Daniel Bryanson or Bryan Danielson, whatever his name is this week, they got him listed as a 6-time champion. So, but I was really surprised to see that they didn't go the direction of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely agree with that. I do think that little title, we're combining all the world titles they've held in other promotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I agree with you. I think they could have went with Danielson and then set up with MJF. Yeah. And then the Great Muta showed up Friday, I think it was, to help Sting out. Good to see him still hanging around there. But Chris, what did you think of AEW over the last couple of weeks? You're on mute, bud.
No, AEW's been kind of interesting lately. MJF coming back. You got Moxley, who's champion again. It's kind of uncertainty where it's going to lead, but it's been interesting the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think AEW definitely has to start finding their own guys to carry this promotion going on. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, right now,
AEW is a sinking ship.
Yep, like you said, they're definitely going that way unless they can find some people to carry them. So, I haven't seen Impact lately. Well,
what? Hold on. What are your thoughts on Malachi Black, though? Isn't that kind of strange?
Yeah, that's
about that.
He says he's not released, but they say he's released, so I don't know.
Well, he came out and said that he's taking time off and he's going to be back in AEW before he'll be back in WWE. So, I don't know. Will, what do you think?
You know, I was really surprised to hear that. I thought for sure, he had asked for his release. He was going to take his time off. It's
Mhm.
not like in my opinion, I don't financially think they need the money. His
Yeah.
wife's still working. She's obviously doing pretty well. He's been working for a while. He's obviously done pretty well for himself. So I thought for sure he would take some time off and then go back to WWE. But then he does this video, and who knows? I mean, maybe it's just to throw everybody off. Maybe it's to make Tony Khan happy. I don't know. But I was surprised. I definitely
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's been some reports that they've reached out to like 4 or 6 different AEW guys WWE has that are still under contract with them to bring them back. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. Any one of us get a chance to watch some Impact? I haven't. Will.
I haven't.
Biggest thing in Impact, for me that I still like to watch, PCO doing a great job over there. I always like to watch Impact just because of PCO. Mickey James, of course, winding down her career over there. That's a shame because what a talent. It's a shame to see the end of that era for sure. I'll tell you, too, over kind of going to a different promotion over to NWA Power Hour, the whole Cardona thing. And I'm not a Cardona fan at all, or Zack Ryder, whatever you want to call him this week. But, that's actually going to be a pretty good little match, I think, between him and Murdoch and all that. So that might be something to watch. I talked about this tonight during my live event, too. I think if NWA Power could get a sponsorship of a network behind them, they're actually a pretty damn good show.
Yep.
One of my absolute favorites out of everybody is Tyrus. I am a big Tyrus fan, and I think he's probably going to be the NWA World Champion at some point. And Camille, I talked about Camille tonight too.
Yeah.
I think she's just waiting for her big break, and I think she'll be something in either AEW at the top of the card there, or in WWE at the top of their card too. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised neither Impact or AEW and maybe WWE haven't kind of done the Forbidden Door with NWA Power and try to get them rolling because it's still on YouTube, free shows. I'm guessing. I don't know what night they're on. I think they used to be on Tuesdays. They would post their shows, but
there's a network. I don't know what network it is, but it plays it really, really, really late at night on TV here.
okay.
But it's always hard to find. It's hard to keep up with, but it's hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I kind of actually I was watching them before the pandemic and it kind of fallen off. I'll have to get back into watching them because they got some. It reminds me of the old school stuff back when early '70s or late '70s, early '80s with the NWA. So definitely got to get back into that. So so let's get on to the next topic. Our thoughts on the whole White Rabbit, who it could be, what it could mean. Well, what do you think?
Somebody made the comment tonight that they think the White Rabbit is Eric Rowan. You've already got Braun Strowman back over there. Potentially, you got Bray coming back, and the White Rabbit could be Braun or Eric Rowan. And I think that's possible. I think that's feasible. But man, honestly, I don't know. Somebody else I heard, I don't know if it was a rumor or where it was, but I read that the thought process was to bring Bray Wyatt's characters to life, which was like the bunny and the buzzard and all that stuff. Which, I mean, I understand, they don't want to get too cartoonish with it, but I actually think that's a really good idea. And I like the idea of him having a stable. They got the whole Judgment Day thing going on right now. I really like the idea of him having a stable. You got the Bloodline, you got the Judgment Day, and then all of a sudden you would have the, Firefly Funhouse or whatever, they may end up calling it. I like that idea.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of posts. I think a lot of people are thinking it's Bray the headlining it. The people that have been posted that I've seen rumored or people are throwing out there would be Scarlet, would be Abigail, White Rabbit would be Karrion Kross, Husky, the pig would have been Strowman, and then the bird would have been Dexter Loomis. Somebody
So
made a cut.
I don't think you'll see the Huskus character because Bray was so emotionally aggravated about the whole Huskus the pig boy thing
Yeah,
that I don't think that would ever come to fruition because he absolutely despised that whole concept. So,
yeah.
which I think ultimately may have had some doings with him getting released and all that,
Mhm.
but I think some of the other ones you really may see. The whole idea behind all that, there was so much there. There was so much they could have done, and
Mhm.
they should have done a couple years ago. If you think about it, I mean, they should have
Yep.
already done this with the whole Firefly Funhouse.
Yep.
So, but I definitely think that you're going to see something come, and there's no doubt in my mind that Bray's going to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And actually,
coming
Chrissy Wilson on Between the Ropes last week or the week before, might have been this week too. She said that Karen Cross used to wrestle under the name White Rabbit, or was known as the White Rabbit back in his indie days. So that could be a little tie-in too. So,
So what
uh,
what happened though with the September 23rd at 9:23, and then they went to
They
commercial?
it
they
was
showed a
some.
they showed a picture in the background
Right.
of the Hit Row's party. It was in the background.
Yeah, but then there was some numbers like
Yeah,
longitudes and stuff. So
yeah. It was a game that when you played it, it gave a direction and it gave to a arena in Canada.
I
yeah,
think I think if you see Bray come back, it'll be at Survivor Series. I
okay.
think that'll be when I mean you gotta make an impact of it. It definitely needs to be at an event. I think you'll see it at Survivor Series.
Yeah, we got some comments coming in. Thomas Burnett, thank you. He said Moxley overall is 4-time champion. Uh, Roger Cooper, hey, how's it going, Coop? Thomas Burnett, Karen Cross was a White Rabbit in Luchador Underground. Okay. And Cooper, during a Bailey promo, there was a guy in the White Rabbit mask running around backstage. Okay.
I did. I saw that. That was pretty cool. The way they did that. It was like a really far away shot, and they
Okay.
showed run by. So that was actually pretty cool. I remember seeing that.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to definitely look into that. But before we move on to the next topic, kind of brought up Loomis just a bit.
He's
What is going
creepy.
on with his? What is his character? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of cool and stuff, him and Miz, but I guess I don't know the direction they're going. What do you think, Will?
You creep us
I,
out.
and I'm not a fan of the guy. I never was a fan of the guy. I don't know. Anytime it seems they pair up certain people with the Miz or put certain people with the Miz, it's like they just bring the Miz down.
Yeah.
I think the Miz is probably on a much higher level performance wise,
Yep.
and they really bring him down when they start putting him in with these other characters. I mean, I'm just not a fan of Loomis whatsoever. So.
Thomas Burnett, he is. I don't know how the guy cannot blink. I mean, I've yet to see the guy blink in
Me
all the
too.
times I've noticed him. So,
Yeah.
big news. Last week I think it was War Games is now being a part of Survivor Series. Will, I know you had a comment a couple weeks ago that you want to see everybody in it first and then eliminated that way
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
vice versa.
Well, I mean, you could still bring them in, at 1 minute or 2 minute intervals, but I think it should be an elimination style, which is how War Games. We talked about this during
Yep.
our conversation about the '96 War Games. But when it was first designed, I think they should have designed it as an elimination style process. And if you're going to do War Games at the Survivor Series traditionally was an elimination
Yep.
match. So I think you combine the two, and you've got a hell of something going there because I think that's exactly what it should always been. War Games is a good concept. It just always needed that elimination part of it. You
Uh-huh.
get that mixed in with the Survivor Series elimination, and plus you go back to, and I read this too that they're wanting to do this. You go back to Survivor Series matches making sense. You don't have to have SmackDown versus Raw in every
No.
match. You go back to having feuds versus feuds
Yep.
inside of the match, and what a great concept, And
Yep.
I think you haven't really seen that in probably 20 years. It's been a long time since you've really seen that. And that's where they need to go with that.
Yeah. Do you think they bring NXT up too, or do you think they kind of just?
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
think you
I
can do
think that you had all three brands involved in Survivor Series. I thought it was a pretty good Survivor Series.
Yeah, and they've done that. And it's pretty good.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think about
Yeah.
War Games?
It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I would like to see NXT in it. I thought that was kind of cool when they did it a couple years ago. I don't think a lot of fans liked it though, and that's why they kind of stayed cleared of it, or maybe they wanted to revamp it. But hopefully NXT gets involved.
Well, I think a lot of fans didn't like it because NXT came in and dominated Survivor Series, and then they just went away from it. I
No,
think if they would
they
have
lost
kept
every match. I thought.
no, the year NXT won all or not all of them, but they won. Right? Well, didn't
No.
NXT
Yeah, I
win?
believe so.
Yeah,
So
I think they only lost two matches.
double check that.
I will. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking.
Or ask Thomas Burnett. He could tell you. But I think NXT ended up winning almost all those matches.
Yeah, and then they kind of went away from it because they invaded both Raw and SmackDown, I think, and then.
I thought SmackDown dominated.
Didn't you have Becky, Bailey, and what was the girl from NXT that was NXT champion?
Rhea?
No, the MMA
Shayna
girl.
Baszler.
Shayna
Baszler?
Baszler. Wasn't that the main event at that Survivor Series?
I'm looking. I'm looking it up.
I think that was the main event too. It was all three women's championships.
So it was the main event: Baszler, Becky Lynch, and Bailey.
Yeah.
Okay. Thomas is chiming in. He said he thinks the Bloodline will turn on Sammy after Survivor Series, and then he did say it was the three women. Because that was what year was that?
2019.
2019. Okay.
So
the Fiend versus.
So Team SmackDown won the men's Royal Rumble or Survivor Series. Sorry. NXT won
the women's. NXT won. No, NXT. Oh, NXT. Robert Strong beat AJ Styles and Nakamura. Adam Cole beat Dunn. Let's see. Team Raw won the men's. Or Team SmackDown won the men's. And then Shayna Baszler beat Becky Lynch and Bailey. Yeah. So they but they went away from making NXT a powerhouse, and so I think that's why the fans kind of got upset. So, Will, why don't we go to your historical moment?
Okay. What was the topic that we had on there?
I don't know. I don't think we had one. So
I thought. Let me see.
I'm looking through our messages, and
I think there was one that was selected, but then we had talked about doing something different. So I just want to make sure I cover the right thing. I think it was War Games '98.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. Let me
Fall
see.
Brawl '98 War Games.
Let's see.
It's way up there, I think.
Yeah, it's a way. I don't see any. I just threw out the topics, and I don't think anybody commented. So, why don't you do War Games '98 then?
Yeah, War Games '98 had a much different concept to in the past with WCW Fall Brawl and War Games, they always did two teams that had a big bitter rivalry, and it was going to come to a conclusion in the War Games. And we talked about the past, '96 and some of the other ones we've covered, but in '98 it was a much different concept. It was WCW versus who was the other two teams? It was WCW versus NWO. Thomas Brunette could probably help me out. There was a third team, but I think
it was both NWOs.
Was it the Wolfpack and the NWO?
Yep.
Is that what it was? And then WCW. So it ends up being the big thing that happens there, of course, ends up being the Ultimate Warrior makes his appearance at the War Games. He comes in, and you think that Warrior's going to make this big entrance and make a big impact in the match, and obviously he's the odds-on favorite to win, and he's going to go on and become a world champion and face Hogan and do all these different things. Well, it was all smoke and mirrors, and literally, because during the match, it's getting towards the end, and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of smoke, and it's the Warrior's turn to get in, and he basically just comes in and beats his chest a little bit, kicks the cage open, gets out, chases Hogan, and that's pretty much it. Really doesn't do anything. It's this humongous build-up for him to be at this pay-per-view, and it equals nothing. I mean, really nothing. And then overall in the War Games, you end up having DDP, of all people that were in that match, win, which not that DDP wasn't deserving, because he was a deserving, to be champion eventually, but he ends up winning it out of everybody else that's in that match. Totally surprised everybody. It was kind of like a Royal Rumble where, Alberto Del Rio wins, and you're like, what the hell just happened? And that's kind of how it was when DDP won it. Of course, it leads to DDP versus Goldberg at Halloween Havoc, which, is one of the major sour points of WCW, because before that match shows on the pay-per-view cuts off, and you don't even see the main event. Warrior would go on from Fall Brawl to Halloween Havoc, the next pay-per-view, face Hogan. It was a horrible match. It wasn't a good event. It really was a bunch of mess-ups for WCW.
Yeah.
And it cost them a lot. They were on a humongous roll. And Fall Brawl 98 was almost, in my opinion, and you can argue with me, a lot of people could disagree with this, but Fall Brawl 98 was built up so big, and then it kind of like imploded, and it really started the ball rolling for WCW falling apart. Then you get into Halloween Havoc, and you think, okay, they had a bad event. Halloween Havoc has a triple main event. There's 3 different main events at that event. One of them is Warrior Hogan. One of them is, I believe it was DDP and Goldberg was the main event. And then it was Bret Hart and I think Lex Luger, or maybe Sting, I don't remember, for the U.S. title. Might have been Hart and Sting for the U.S. title. And
what was that?
Halloween Havoc, 98. And you think it's going to be this great big awesome pay-per-view, and then right after you have Hogan Warrior match, the pay-per-view basically cuts off. You don't even see the Goldberg DDP match because it cuts off. You have to have that main event shown the next night on Nitro. It really was the implosion right then and there of WCW, and that's such a shame, because it was such a good card. It should have been one of the best cards they've ever done.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That's what I was gonna get at. The trapdoor. I'm gonna have to go watch that again. I'm trying.
So what he's referring to with the trapdoor is they had a trapdoor in the War Games for the Ultimate Warrior to make his appearance. When the smoke goes off, Warrior comes up through the ring through the trapdoor. But apparently they didn't tell all the wrestlers about the trapdoor, where it was going to be. So what happened was Bulldog slammed his back on the trapdoor and really hurt himself, and ultimately it led to him, taking painkillers to try to get rid of the pain and muscle relaxers and all that stuff. And of course, all the mixing, the combinations of the drugs and stuff ultimately contributed or helped to contribute to his death later on.
Okay.
That was, obviously mixing cocktails of pills. So, which, we don't know for sure the exact story of how Bulldog, concoction of pills, it led to his death or whatever. But yeah, DDP won the match to get a shot at Goldberg. I think I said that. But I think I said that. He got the shot at Goldberg.
Yeah.
And then goes on to Halloween Havoc just to lose. Which really was a great match at Halloween Havoc. The problem is, if you're watching the pay-per-view, you didn't get to see it. Because it literally didn't air. The pay-per-view cut off. So if you ever watch the Rise and Fall of WCW documentary, it's an outstanding documentary, and it covers a lot of that stuff in it.
Yeah, it sure does.
As far as another historical moment, I just want to cover this real quick too. I was talking about this a lot tonight during my live event. I've been watching a lot of the old school prime time wrestling. If you go back and you go to Peacock and you go back and watch like 1987, 1988 prime time wrestling, I know we don't have time for two historical moments, but there's a lot of really good stuff on there. And I was even talking tonight about Coco Beware and what a big star and what a big deal he was and some of the big matches that he had. And nowadays when you say the name Coco Beware, it doesn't carry very much weight to it. But back then, tremendous, tremendous star, tremendous
Yeah, he
athlete.
was.
So I would highly recommend go back and watch Primetime Wrestling, 87, 88, 89, all through that era. Great stuff on there. Of course, hosted by Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. So
Yeah, definitely a good combo there. Definitely have to go check it out. But yeah, Coco Beware, another guy that we talk about guys that should have got a better push. I mean, he's probably one. I know he, had a couple good tag teams with Owen Hart, and I'm trying to think of another guy, um, but yeah, definitely let's go check that out. Maybe talk about that on the next episode. So, uh, well, I don't got anything else just outside of rumors and recaps. You got
So
anything? Go ahead, throw out there.
I think all the rumors is just really surrounding Bray Wyatt, surrounding Malachi Black. We've already talked about those. CM Punk, is he getting fired? Is he not getting fired? Are they buying him out of his contract? All those different things. So there's a lot of rumors floating around right now. One thing that we should definitely address is Karrion Kross is going to get a really big match at the next pay-per-view. So, Crispy, what do you think about that?
No, it's going to be a good match. I think Cross might win that match.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think about
Extreme Rules is definitely shaping up to be an actual Extreme Rules. I mean, pay-per-view.
They put the extreme in Extreme Rules.
Yeah. Finally, they got some stipulation matches.
Yeah, exactly. We got a pit fight match. We got a
strap
match. We got a ladder match. I mean, Extreme Rules is definitely going to be a pay-per-view to watch.
I Quit match.
Yep, I Quit match. I want to get Will's thought. I know he's probably going to kind of agree with my thoughts on it. Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns for Clash at the Castle. What do you think there, Will?
It's all about what they want to see. It's all about what they're paying for in Saudi Arabia. They wanted to see it. I definitely don't think you're going to see a title change whatsoever. But I think they're wanting to see those two guys, and that's what they're going to get because that's what they're paying for. I'm sure they're probably paying $20 or $25 million to bring that event there, or more. I don't even know how much they pay, but I know it's a lot of money, and I think they kind of request the matches, and they get what they pay for. So,
yeah, definitely. When that match was booked, I mean, I don't think we get a title change unless it's a cash in, and I don't see that proceeding because, like you said, well, they kind of, Saudi Arabia kind of calls the shots on what they want.
Right.
One thing I brought up on Between the Ropes on Sunday, not that I've seen it anywhere, but just kind of watching Sequoia's reaction when he got into the ring on Friday to be acknowledged, and he just kind of got that upset look. I am kind of in the ballpark right now thinking if they don't get the Rock commitment to WrestleMania, that Sequoia is going to be going to get turned on, or he's going to turn, and we're going to see a Sequoia Roman Reigns kind of like a leadership type match because the elders sent Sequoia, tribal chief is Roman Reigns. So I think if we don't see a commitment by the Rock soon, I think that's where they're going to head to that one. What do you think, Will?
I think it's kind of like they did with Jimmy and Jay. They have to have Roman beat him down to prove that he's a tribal chief kind of thing. But, overall, eventually the bloodline will go away. But, the bloodline has always been there just in different forms. I mean, look at the tradition, the history of the family. But I think you'll probably see a couple little matches with Roman and Sequoia, but I think it'll be just a couple of those squash matches just to show that he's the head of the table. I'm kind of wondering, and I'll throw this out there, if they're going to do something really swerve away from this Roman versus Rock that everybody's got built up in their minds, go a different direction with Roman. I don't think they're saving Roman for Cody, but I wouldn't doubt that they were saving Roman for Bray. So I don't know, just something that's been crossing my mind a little bit lately. I don't necessarily know that you ever get Roman and The Rock. I don't know if it's ever going to happen,
No.
And I don't know if you really need it. I don't know. I mean, bringing The Rock back, when's the last time he main evented WrestleMania? 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking by the time he would main eventing it, that was 10 years ago. And he did good in that match, but he got injured and immediately had to go have surgery after that match. Yeah. So I don't know that you ever really get Roman.
I don't think you'll get a main event Rock, but maybe you get the match where he patches a torch per se.
I think it's
Roman.
More of a fantasy warfare. What torch does he need to pass? Roman's already on top of everything.
That's true. I guess
maybe it's something like what Stone Cold did this WrestleMania. Not too much, but got in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I think we're kind of bypassed The Rock.
But The Rock is in the greatest shape of his life. Stone Cold Steve Austin still had a broken neck, no matter how good or bad he looked in the main event at WrestleMania. Yeah. The man still has a broken neck or a broken vertebrae in the neck or whatever it may have been, So I think if you get Rock out there and it's not the greatest Rock match of all time, it'll just be a disappointment to the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about a guy that's worth $100 million already. I mean, I understand he wants to get back to WWE, but I don't know. Maybe you get the match, but I think it's still fantasy warfare match. Yeah. I don't think you ever get it.
No, I agree with you, Will. Thomas, the look that's on his face is his normal look. I've gotten that look many times in the past. Okay, right. I just
So he was a big deal independent wise. I can't think of the name of the federation out there, but out there in I want to say it's FSW, but I could be wrong. Out there in Las Vegas, Thomas Brunette, Thomas Glenn, all those guys are they frequent all that stuff. They know all that stuff. Very very intelligent with wrestling. Again, I want to say it's FSW, but I could be wrong. But that's where he came from, and he was a big deal out there, big star out there.
Yeah, Future Stars of Wrestling, Thomas Burnett chiming in. FSW.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
No, it could be. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe I was just reading into more of it since I haven't seen them that much, but I just kind of got a different vibe when they did their little promo there.
And then Sami Zayn got his new shirt.
Yeah, so he's got to go. I don't think, I mean, it's kind of working right now, but I don't know if Will has different thoughts, but I just think sooner or later they're going to turn on him.
Future Bingo Hall star, right?
Along with CM Punk, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, but I've been saying that about Sami Zayn for a year now or longer.
Yeah, well, you keep throwing out those bingo halls, you might have yourself a nice promotion down there.
I know.
Thomas Burnett's chiming in saying him and I used to job back and forth. Hey, cool. Job back and forth. Hey, there you go, Thomas. Getting it out there. Oh, okay. I know. What was it? Ric Flair came out, and said that he's never retiring from wrestling. I mean, well, you were at the last match. I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I think Ric Flair says things like that all the time because mentally he's probably still 40 years younger than he is, but physically, I don't think he should ever step in another ring. I mean, it was an incredible moment, incredible to be there. It was super exciting, but I mean, I don't think he should ever wrestle again. If he's under this impression of I'll never retire, then let him go to AEW or let him go somewhere. Let him go to WWE and manage Karrion Kross.
Yep.
Or let him go somewhere and manage somebody like Harley Race did for Vader,
Yep.
and still stay in the spotlight, but under the manager role. I don't think he would ever be a good commentator because I just don't think that would work. I mean, can you imagine Ric Flair as a commentator? Every single move that happens in the
No.
ring, all you hear is woo, woo, woo.
Yeah,
So,
no,
Especially when Charlotte's out there.
yeah,
yeah,
no.
I don't think he would ever be a commentator, but I could see him as a manager. Hell, let him manage Charlotte again. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to put him back in wrestling and you don't want him to retire, but as far as him
Right.
stepping in the ring and him wrestling, all you're going to do at this point, I say this about a lot of guys too, and it's so true. All you're going to do at this point is you're just going to damn your legacy. You're going to hurt your legacy.
Steamboat.
You're going to remember the 1992 Rumble where Flair wins it after going 60 minutes or whatever it was.
Yep.
And winning the world title, and then the next memory you're going to have is Ric Flair wrestling in, his 50th retirement match, and all 49 of them out of the 50 were awful. The one that he had was really good. He did as best he could. If you were there in person, it was so emotional, it was so exciting. But as far as the event on TV, I never saw it on TV, so I don't know how it looked or how it didn't look. But I would say he would do himself a great service by never, ever wrestling again. He can manage people. He can do the Ric Flair chops. He can do his woo and be done with it. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I know he's got a mind of his own. He's going to do what he wants because he's Ric Flair, but I hope the family steps in and says, Dad, uncle, grandpa, whatever, dude, you're done. I mean, you said it right, Will. He's had at least 6-7 retirement matches that we know of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I think the best one of them all was that WrestleMania with him and Shawn Michaels.
That should be his true retirement match.
Well,
and it should be.
technically, the best retirement match he ever had was against Hogan at the Halloween Havoc '94 in the steel cage. I mean, that's how far back his retirement matches go.
Yeah.
Now, if you jump promotions and you're going to retire, I could see you doing a final match in each promotion, but
the girls need to tell him no.
Didn't he do a final match in TNA too? I mean,
I think.
Yeah, wasn't his final match him and
Jay Lethal, right?
Yeah, I think Jim Lethal. Yeah. So he's had a retirement match everywhere except for AEW, which never say no. I guess. I mean, so
it's all about a paycheck.
Yep.
So there's been some rumblings. Brock and Goldberg might show up at
Crown Jewel.
Yeah, Clash of the Castle.
Crown Jewel.
Or Crown Jewel. I'm sorry.
Crown
You're
Jewel.
right.
Crown Jewel.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Will? I mean, like you said before, they're calling the shots over there. So
they get what they pay for. If they want to pay for Goldberg, I don't know. I don't know if it's true, but I think at some point they said Goldberg was making like $2 million per appearance at those foreign events or something like that. I could be wrong about the amount of money, but it was some outlandish amount of money. I mean, if they're paying for it, then that's what they're getting, and I wouldn't doubt Lesnar, because I think Lesnar has probably been over there on every single trip they've done.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt that either. But I don't think you see Goldberg versus Lesnar. I highly doubt you would see that over
No, I think the rumor matches is Brock or Goldberg facing Lashley, and then Brock or Goldberg facing Omos.
So
I think I have a feeling Brock's going to show up Monday here in Minneapolis, and I think it's going to be Brock and Omos. I think is the way they're pushing Omos as a beast.
Yeah, but I think Brock will kill Omos.
Oh yeah. Oh, I totally agree.
I don't know.
I think so.
I think Omos.
Well, Thomas is saying Goldberg is on the internet show The Bump tomorrow. And if it's his final match, it needs to be a coffin match. Must be talking about Ric Flair. I mean, that might,
yeah,
might be the only time we get him out of a ring, I guess. Not as bad about it, but anyways, guys,
it's such a shame because you're talking probably one of the top 3 wrestling careers of all time. Just celebrated 50 years in the wrestling business.
Yep.
But all you can do is, don't damn your legacy. You're damning it.
Yeah. So Thomas is saying Brock Lesnar or Brock versus Lashley and Goldberg versus Omos. I've seen that report too. Brock and Lashley would be a good one, I think, but
I heard.
I just have a stinky feeling that since they were in Canada last Monday, this Monday they'll be in Minneapolis, that we could see Brock showing up and maybe challenging one of the two.
I could see those matchups happening.
Yeah. Omos might have a good chance against Goldberg. I don't know about Brock, but
Lashley has unfinished business with Brock.
that is true. You are correct there, Chris. So, but with that being said, a clean shaven Brock. Yeah, who knows? So, well, you got any final thoughts here? We can cut it short. I don't have much.
No, it's a hell of a week. Great night of sales over in TRC, and big shout out to all those guys, and thank everybody for tuning in.
Anything for you? Final thoughts?
Oh no, it's going to be a great, lead up to Extreme Rules. The wrestling business is, in a good shape, and see what happens down the road.
Yeah, definitely want to thank everybody for chiming in. People at TRC with Will, you guys do a great job on your shows. Thomas Burnett, the Chief, those guys over there at Thoughts Count Anywhere, great shows on Saturdays, which you can catch on TRC's website. With that being said, everybody in Florida, Will, you, Joe, everybody, I hope you guys stay safe. Keep checking in with us, please. And that being said, check us out next Tuesday. Hopefully the whole gang returns. Have a good night.